ESPN's Kevin Negandhi, a Temple grad, just like Pete Thompson, proudly.
Yeah, but I never had the band spell out my name on the field.
That's a big-time honor right there, as Kevin Negandhi had that happen, and he joins us now, Kevin, as we are in Philly for the draft. And, this used to be Radio City Music Hall. It was just kind of this drab kind of day where you just, boom, you're inside this hall all day. But what about the scene and the party that Philadelphia is putting on for this event?
Guys, honestly, I've said this for the last couple of days. The city of Philadelphia is now the center of the NFL universe for 3 days, and we get to do this right. And this morning I did a piece on, the stereotypes of Philadelphia and how sometimes too often people just label us and that we're just more than this idea of booing everybody and everything. And I think America is going to see that on the big stage for 3 days. Our passion for football is, to me, is the biggest thing that separates us from every other major city in this country. We live and die with the Eagles every single Sunday, and you're going to see that in at the late part of April. You're going to see that in prime time tonight.
Yeah, Kevin, Roger Goodell said Philadelphia has raised the bar. I mean, has this exceeded all expectations of what the NFL draft could and should look like?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys mentioned, 16 teams are looking around and kicking the tires to see how they could be a part of something like this and host something like this. Listen, I think Jaws did a great job in making sure this draft would come to the city. And the difference is we're going to be very lucky. Right? It's going to be in the high 70s the next 3 days, maybe, low 80s. And when you watch Chicago, the one thing that everybody told me last year, the weekend in Chicago was horrendous. And it's not Chicago's fault. It's just the conditions in late April. They're not pretty. For us to be able to showcase something like this, a live event, especially, at the iconic steps of the Art Museum, and everybody fully aware of, what the Rocky statue means, I think publicly, how it's perceived around the country. We know how to put on a show, and we get that opportunity the next 3 days. So, to me, Philadelphia is raising the bar and also changing viewpoints down the road for the next 3 days.
Kevin Negandhi with us, as Mike said, a Temple alum like me and a guy who you see on Sportscenter every morning, Sportscenter AM. And Kevin, I'm sure given what you do for a living, people come up to you and say, all right, well, who are the Eagles going to take? Any insight into that? You got any more knowledge than what we've offered up for the last 4 hours?
Pete, this is the greatest reality show that you could find on TV, because literally there is no script. No one knows what's going to happen. And if anybody tells you, well, this is what's going to happen at 14, they must have a time machine, since we don't know what's going on at number 1. And the number 1 pick is going to change how everybody approaches everything, because if the Browns decide to go with the safe pick and Myles Garrett and get the best player, then we'll see what happens with the quarterbacks and what the 49ers want to do. Now, if it's switched around, they go with Mitch Trubisky. Now, do the 49ers get the best pick in the draft at number 2, or do they start thinking, do we move down and get a player that we want that's going to help us with the offense? For me, when I look at the Eagles, we all know their draft needs. They need cornerbacks. They need 2 of them that could start from day 1. They also need some help at wide receiver, because we know the lack of depth that they have after 2017. Now, I think there's another intriguing aspect. How are you helping Carson Wentz? And we saw that last year. Does he have enough weapons around him? And is that the backfield like Christian McCaffrey? I don't think McCaffrey's going to be around at 14. Do we need to get a pass rusher if he's available? Possibly. When I look at the cornerbacks here, you can get value and you can get talent and you can get a starter potentially in the 2nd and 3rd round. So I view it this way. At 14, if you have a wide receiver there, the top 2, in Mike Williams or Corey Davis, if I'm the Eagles, I'm going up there and grabbing the wide receiver right then and there, because you need to help Carson for the next 5 to 8 years to bail him out. And we saw that many times when the guy's throwing the ball 607 times last year as a rookie, the most in franchise history. He needs some help with guys who are going to actually catch the ball and move the ball and keep drives open to help the defense rest up. So for me, I view this as at 14, Do they decide that we're going to help Carson immediately in building this thing? Or that means if they go cornerback, one of the top 3 guys at cornerback is still available at 14, and they just have to grab him and make him the starter. But I think you could find value in day 2 in finding 2 cornerbacks that could be starters down the road.
Kevin Negandhi with us, ESPN, so I'll pin you down. You said Corey Davis and Mike Williams. Which of those 2 names would make you go, yes, and cheer out loud, even though you're supposed to be neutral in Switzerland and not have a leaning one way or the other?
Well, tonight I'm not working, so you're going to hear me go, yes. I mean, I will be there in the background attending the draft. Now, here's the thing. I think they both have two different types of talent. When you look at Corey Davis, he's a guy that is going to catch the ball anywhere, literally move the ball down the field. I really like what he brings consistently on every single play. I look at Mike Williams, and I look at the catch radius, and, man, that is a big deal because that's the one thing that Carson struggled with entering the draft last year. It passes across the middle and being accurate. Sometimes they're too high. And Mike Williams, if you guys ever want to watch tape on a guy that can adjust with the radius, watch what he did in the national championship game. You throw a ball up, and Deshaun did that a couple times to him. He can go up at its highest point and pull it down. And to me, that's what Mike Williams can do. And if you have the idea of Mike Williams there on one side, Alshon Jeffrey on the other, and then Jordan Matthews in the slot, wow, you've got some real weapons on day 1 here for Carson Wentz to work with. And so I think you guys are getting the answer that I'd probably lean Mike Williams. But if Corey Davis is there, trust me, I'm going to be as excited as I am with Mike Williams.
Okay, Kevin, now you mentioned Philadelphia fans live and die with professional football, and obviously that's true. You're a Temple guy. You gave us the love. Give us the name your heart will sink if you see it at number 14.
Drop like a stone.
I really don't have any. There's not a player out there. The way this draft is, when you look at the top 50 picks, I think you're going to have balance. Like there are a ton of teams that kind of want to trade down and trade potentially out of the first round to get some value and get extra picks, because you're going to find after the top 10 picks from, I would say, 11 to 50, you're going to see a value that's very similar. So to me, I don't think there's going to be like, just all I got to tell you is, regardless, the Eagles have to get this first-round pick right. They have to. I mean, last year was a no-brainer because Carson fell in their lap, and you get Carson Wentz, thank goodness, because when they made the trade, my first response was, oh, my God, what are they going to do if the Rams change their mind and draft Carson? Because I never felt like Jared Goff was the answer. So to me at 14, regardless of where they go, they have to get an impact player. And if you look at the Eagles, they need a pass rusher. They need secondary help. They need wide receiver help. They need running back help. If you go with all 4, or you decide, hey, we want to go lineman, which would surprise me, I'm still not going to get mad about it, because that's finding a way to protect Carson Wentz down the road. So right now, at this point, there's no ugh. And I think a lot of people felt that a few years ago with Marcus Smith, because at 25, the guys that they wanted went in the early 20s, and then they scrambled, and I think they made a desperate move right there. I don't think it's going to be a move of desperation tonight.
Kevin, in this business, we love to cover the story, not be the story, but, I know it's been a tough week for you guys there. These people at ESPN that, like yourself, they've got families. They've been working hard. We've all been trying to do the best we can in this business. Can you try to put into words what this has been like for you guys this week? Because obviously ESPN became the story this week with some great people unfortunately losing their jobs, people you know very well. How tough has this last few days been for you?
It's been really tough. I don't want to make it about me, because I'm lucky to say that I still have a job. So I think about many of my friends and their families. There was a lot of them, and how they're going to be affected moving forward. But here's the one thing. the headline is, oh, ESPN with the layoffs. But if you look at the way the industry is, you guys can talk about it as well. Anybody that's been in this business, whether it's, print, radio, or TV, understands that layoffs are around the corner. The way we consume our information, the way we access our information, it is ever evolving. And so this is just reality of the business. And I get upset when I hear, this was something about politics. That's complete BS. This was about, listen, we are adjusting for the future, whether it's right or wrong. Every single media outlet does this. We've seen newspapers have layoffs. We've seen TV stations have layoffs on the local level, on the national level, on the regional level. We've seen that with Comcast. We've seen that with FS1. FS1 a few years ago got basically rid of all their reporters, and they got rid of their news content division. But because it's ESPN, we grab the headlines, and people make it into something else, which isn't. And I just think about the family and friends affected, because here's the thing. There were many things I saw yesterday, that troubled me, but this is the reality. People at home sometimes often view us media people as pawns. Oh, this is like a game. It's not, because behind the scenes, you're dealing with real people, great people, genuine people. People have given everything. They have outstanding journalists that have dedicated their lives to doing the right thing as journalists and broadcasters, and now they're looking for a job, and now you're looking at the market that's flooded with a lot of talent, but where are the opportunities? So I think about them and their families, and it's unfortunate, but this is the reality of the business, and everybody that gets into this business is fully aware of it. It's a shame, though, that it grabbed this kind of attention and how people view it and slanted it, and I think used ESPN as a pawn for what they want to do in their storytelling when they don't have an idea of why it was made.
Hey, Kevin, we opened our show with that yesterday because I think it's grabbing the news because of the professionalism and the jobs those guys did. Many of the guys who, were a part of, and women, by the way, who lost their jobs, were a big part of what made our show successful. And you're right. The topic we did was how are you consuming sports and how your consumption of sports differs from where it was 5 to 10 years ago. So well put stuff by you. And obviously, we do appreciate jumping on board because this is supposed to be a fun day, too. I know a lot of people are thinking about all those people, but we are in Philly at the draft. And hopefully, as Howie Roseman said the other day, Kevin, we're all high-fiving at number 14.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think the Philly fans will make us very proud when that pick is announced and how we move forward here for the next 3 days. I cannot wait for it, guys.
All right, Phillies, Temple grad, ESPN.
Got to throw Phoenixville in, too, just to give him a little props.
There you go there, PT. All right, Kevin Negandhi here live on the Sports Best. Kevin, thanks so much.
Guys, I appreciate it. PP good. I'll see you later tonight.